Hey everyone, Kido here. Today I want to introduce you to a new and exciting upcoming tournament called Loki Cup. This tournament will be a mass guild versus guild battle to show who is the top guild in your server. There are some exciting rewards to be had from this tournament even if you're not the winning guild. During the practice match, you're able to get a lot of much better resources compared to Vigorous Avenge. For example, you're able to get extra feather breakthrough fossils, you get able to get a lot more Nightingale stuff, or if mount breakthrough items if you so wish to choose. As well as, a couple more goodies that are just slightly better than the usual Vigor Avenge. For the top guilds though, you're able to win a lot more, such as a cool new mount, obviously portraits and frames and chat box, 5k Nians, a couple more red soul crystals, and most importantly, the Chaos Fluoride, which is a 15-week progression item that you get from Seaside Nightmare dungeon runs. The lines that you get, the stats that you get from this is about it's 16% Armor Bane or Armor Slayer, or 16% reduction or damage versus size. This is one of the best in slot stats that you can get, and so this will be a very nice boost for your guild for the next upcoming tournament. Let's dive into how you can win in this game mode. Well, the final scoring method is based on the guild with the highest guild points at the end of the match. Points can be obtained through different battlefields, map 1, 2, and 3, where Vigorous Field and RuneScape are basically the same playstyle with similar scoring system. For Vigorous Field and RuneScape, there are a couple different mechanisms that you should know before we look at how those points are scored. So the main objective of the map is to defeat the Fallen Valkyrie at the start of the match and own the horn or become the messenger for the guild. The longer you hold and transform for the guild, the more points it is. The final ownership is also being scored, so you want to hold on to it as much as possible. However, in order to penalize people for holding it for too long, after 60 seconds, you actually get a buff to lose HP on the messenger. You lose 10% of HP every 5 seconds after 1 minute of holding transforming. This means that you can only be a messenger for at most 110 seconds. In order to extend the duration of your transformation, you have to go to what they call an altar scattered across 4 corners of the map. Use the altar to extend the duration to another 60 seconds. In this new mode, in order to prevent abusing all 8 altars, in total there will be 6 altars disabled by the last 5 minutes of the game. This means there will only be 2 altars available, which will allow you to do more strategy around the fact. There will also be mobs spawning in the map, namely in the center and places close to the altars as well. Fenrir and the Elemental Lord will spawn in the middle at set intervals, and defeating Fenrir will give you an ability to transform, which will allow you to do damage to obtain your messenger. Element Lord, there are 4 of them, 4 different elements: fire, earth, water, and wind. Defeating each one of them, instead of giving transformation skills like Vigor Avenge, will give you extra buffs based on the element that you defeat. Water element will provide you with SP restoration, and more importantly, the SP lock, where SP will not drop below 25%. For Wind Element Lord, it will provide you with a chance to reduce your enemy's healing taken, which will allow you to reduce the Death Bomb playstyle that people might play around the Valkyrie. Similarly, the Earth element will boost your chance for your whole guild because it gives everyone in the guild 100% shield every 10 seconds. The fire element lord gives you everyone ability to break gears of your opponent. So these are strong buffs that you should not overlook, in addition to the points that they provide. There will also be 8 undead spirit spawn points every set intervals that gives you points and nothing beyond that. Let's take a look and see how the objectives are scored. I will use Vigorous Field as the example, and later in the video, in the strategy portion, I will calculate what are all the possible points to be had from the objectives so that we can actually assess what are actually higher priority objectives. The main objectives, which is around the Fallen Valkyrie, when you first defeat the Fallen Valkyrie at the start and get the ownership of the horn, you will get 30k guild points. Every 5 seconds that you own the horn thereafter will be worth 4,000 points per 5 seconds. The guild that has the final ownership of the horn will also earn a bonus 200,000 points. In terms of the mobs that spawn around the map, defeating Fenrir will give you 30k points, defeating the Element Lord will give you 25k points each, Undead Spirits 10k each, and in order to promote the PvP aspect of this map, every player that you defeat is 800 points. 800 points sounds low, but later in the math, I'll show you how important this piece is as well. Map 2 or RuneScape will be primarily half the points, in addition to guild merit points that allows the Vagrant field or the main field to cast guild-wide buffs for a certain amount of duration. Now that we know about things on paper in terms of mechanisms and points, let's take a look at the actual play style of the game. At the start of the match, as you can see from the screen, the Fallen Valkyrie or the Horn will be at the middle of the map, waiting for 2 guilds to clash and claim ownership of the Horn and the initial 30k points. The altars are scattered across, as I mentioned, and there will be 8 undead spirits that spawn right at the get-go. In terms of the match, there will be a interface at the top or timer at the top to show you when the next spawn for each of the objectives are. The icons are basically undead spirits, elemental lords for the next 4, and Fenrir on the last one that you can see is about 550 seconds. So you can see that there's undead spirits that you can kill as you go towards the path of the horn. So perhaps it is wise to split out 1 or 2 forces to secure those objectives for extra points while keeping the main ball in for the Valkyrie ownership. As you can see, the guild has started attacking at 19:30 seconds. Let's take a look and see how long this actually takes to kill the Valkyrie, as this will give us an indication of how much the maximum total points are from Valkyrie ownership. It does seem like it takes about a minute in order to secure a Valkyrie ownership. There we go, so 19 minutes of available Valkyrie ownership. Let's skip over to the spawn of the Elemental Lords. There are 4 in total and 2 spawns at the same time at the start. So wind and water will spawn, which is on the top right and top left of the map, the center of the map, and then fire and water will spawn 150 seconds later or 2.5 minutes later. Let's take a look and see how long it actually takes to kill the Elemental Lord. So 17:25 second. So this takes about 40 seconds to kill. Let's skip over to when the next 2 elemental fire and earth spawns. So 15 minutes, they spawn. So the death timer, approximately 15, 14, 20 seconds. So similarly, 40 seconds to kill. As you can see, since the undead spirit spawns every 5 minutes, there's about a second wave of undead spirit at the 14-minute mark. Now we skip over to the first spawn of the Fenrir, which is around the 11-minute mark. As you can see, once the Fenrir is secured, the next spawn of the Elemental Lord will begin at around 10 minutes depending on how fast you killed the first one. Since the second wave of the Undead Spirit was killed around 14 minutes, you can expect the next spawn to be at around 9 minutes or so. At about 8 minutes, the Fire and the Earth Elemental Lord will respawn. Now that it's the last 5 minutes, here comes the exciting part, because points are all doubled, and you can see that the Elemental Lord has spawned, the Fenrir has spawned, the Undead Spirit is about to spawn as well. And then there will be a Fire and Earth Elemental Lord in another minute or so. So this is where everything gets exciting, because all the objectives in the center will be spawning almost at the same time. But you also want to make sure that you secure the final horn ownership. So you gotta pick and strategize properly to secure all the objectives and maximize the points. So the match will come to an end here, and let's take a look and see what are the score distribution in order for us to strategize properly. It is about 3 million points for Eternity. And after I made some rough calculations, it's about 2.1 million for Vigrid field or the main field, 700k for RuneScape or the sub-field one, and about 300k from the Felons. So, as you can see, sub-field actually matters here in this new game mode, as it actually makes up about 30% or 1/3 of the total score for the guild. Let's think about what are some of the possible strategies to win in this game mode. Based on the timings from my practice match, here's a calculation of the total score available. As you can see, there's about 1.2 million points, or about 50% of the total score available from just the Valkyrie alone. This means that guilds should focus on creating a powerful squad to secure it as long as possible throughout the match. The Valkyrie also needs to know how to time the skills correctly, including the teleport into guild summon combo. However, we should not ignore the Elemental Lord, Undead Spirits, or Fenrir that summons throughout the match, especially the Fire and Earth Elemental Lord, because they provide a big power boost for your main Valkyrie squad. When we get to the last 5 minutes, Divide and Conquer is critical, as there are lots of spawn and only 2 altars left as well. Guilds should consider camping the furthest altar to catch the teleporting Valkyrie. That is all for my initial thoughts about the new Loki's Cup, and I do want to say this is a very interesting gameplay. Unfortunately, the first match has a lot of bugs that still needs to be fixed. See you at the top, and thank you for watching the video. The next one is gonna be the one that's the host the final one. I'm just gonna go camp the altar. There's only 2 altars. It's here. Fraggy's here. That nice. Linker got it.